for the GC. But, you know, that always can change out on the road.
And that may be Baden Cook coming in, no?
Yeah,
The green edge.
I believe that is, as he got dropped a little bit earlier. Now, he still has to get to the finish line before the time cut would eliminate him from the race, and actually doesn't look like Baden Cook to me, but regardless, it is one of the Orica men, so they lost several guys before the finish. And it can be pretty hard to pick out their face with the TT helmet on and all of the gear, especially the time trial helmet. It really covers up the face.
Team Sky waiting for their moment to get onto the bars to take them out to the starting pontoon.
That is the Belarusian Vasil Kirienko there, the man who is the big diesel on that team, and he does so much work for them.
Team Lotto Belisol.
So if you notice their handlebars, the extensions, that's one of the things that Jig was measuring earlier. They can't be, your hands can't be up super high. They have to more or less, your forearms more or less have to be parallel to the ground. So that's one of the regulations. The other regulation is how far behind the bottom bracket the front of the saddle has to be, because the further you move it forward, the more aero you are. But they won't let you go like they do in a triathlon. They won't let you go too far forward. And also the overall reach is regulated. So there are a bunch of things that the officials look at on these time trial bikes.
Back out on course, this is Omega Pharma. The first part of this course, you can see one of the teammates also trying to signal with the arm, but you're not going to have the wind here, Todd, on this first portion of the team time trial, because you have these windy, twisty turns throughout the town. You don't have those winds on the Atlantic yet.
Yeah, and one of the things I just want to mention, you saw these riders gesticulating here as they're coming into these chicanes with the cobbles and everything. The technical nature of this course, I cannot really give enough credit to. When you watch how good they are here as the Movistar team is coming into the split. Oh no, this is Cajarual, excuse me. And it looked like they were fourth best at that point. But the technical nature of this discipline on a course like this with a predominantly tailwind course really fast, it's going to make it really tough.
Well, that will clearly give you an indication of just how windy it is here on the Atlantic. And just what a beautiful bucolic scene here for the start of the Vuelta. Have you ever been in a race with a start like that, as this is
No.
Team Argos?
No, and look, they only have 5 guys, so they used up all their guys coming into the finale, and they're sitting in the 3rd spot as they come to the line.
And Team Argos with the youngest team here at the Vuelta. It's Team NetApp still with the time to beat of 30.34, and Team Argos crosses the line over a minute back. And so you're starting on a pontoon, and then you've got a team time trial where it's not some flat sprinter stage, Todd, where some GC guys can, lose some time on stage 1 as Team Saxo Tinkoff is underway, and they will be losing the Tinkoff to their team at the end of this year.
Well, one of the things I just noticed was the speed of the Orica guys that just came across the line, 51.6 kilometers an hour with climbing. That's 32 miles an hour. So it gives you an idea how fast they're going when they're not going uphill. And they were a minute down on the NetApp team.
We did not get to see the Team Argos Shimano start. We brought in our live coverage at the start for the BMC team. They were the 4th team to start. So Team NetApp, Orca, and Argos started before we came on live. And so for Team Argos, their average age under 25 years old, right around 25. Radio Shack, the oldest team. And so perhaps a bit of youth on display, Todd, with a team that's got some nice young legs, but they put themselves in a bit of a hole here.
Yeah, well, it's the way it goes, as their director Neil Stevens was saying. 5th to 10th was their goal. Still amazing, 32 miles an hour for those guys, and being a minute behind the NetApp team. And NetApp not even favored to win this thing. There should be some teams that are much quicker, and one of those right here is the Omega Pharma Quickstep team. This squad should set a very good pace.
Final 4 riders for Argos coming to the finish line.
And notice the man on the front there just signaling to his teammates that the corner is in front of them as they just want to make sure at this point they get across the finish line in one piece.
Yeah, their average age is just over 25 years. They've got no Marcel Kidder or John Degenkolb. 4 Team Argos here at the Vuelta. Team Sky getting onto the boat. Not going fishing today. What goes through your mind when you were racing and you were starting a 3-week or a 1-week stage race?
If you're a Team Sky team, you are here for the general classification. If you're a BMC team, you're definitely here with Pinotti, the multiple-time Italian national champion, leading through. And they want to try and win this stage, but they end up in second by 1 second to NetApp.
Just off of the pace, BMC, 30.35. So Team NetApp, through the first 4 teams, has the time to beat. They're a pro-continental team, perhaps coming into this debut Vuelta with a bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Well, certainly the BMC team wanted to try and win this team time trial. They knew it was going to be hard, but I don't think they ever thought coming in that the NetApp Endura team would be 1 second ahead of them at the finish line.
Well, no Taylor Finney for the BMC team. He took a nasty spill at stage 6 last Saturday at the Eneco Tour. This is Cofidis at the 20K split, so it was Team NetApp and then BMC. Cofidis is about 46 seconds off the pace.
You can see guys getting trailed off the back of that team, and back here it is the big men on this Belgian team, Omega Pharma Quickstep. These guys have a lot of horsepower, and I really expect they will have a pretty good ride. You were asking me what guys are thinking about, though, as they get ready to start, and then we got into the finish of the BMC team. So everybody has different objectives. BMC is not really here to put a guy on the podium overall. They're here to target specific stages, and one of those would be the team time trial today. Also, Philippe Gilbert wants to win stages. And so here's where we are right now.
At the 9.2K split, so Omega Pharma, no surprise, has the top time at that split. Lotto Velasol just underway. And this is not the strongest Lotto team that they probably could have sent to a Grand Tour.
Well, let's remember that these guys are required to do each of the World Tour events. And eventually, your team just gets worn out. And so you end up having to send guys that you maybe have a different objective, which is to do some developing. And that, to me, looked like it was Serge Powell's, who was just coming off the back of the Omega Pharma train.
At the back there, number 162. There's Tony Martin, 161.
These guys are falling apart a little bit right now. This is not good. You see, Tony Martin had to get right back in there on Johnny Mearsman, but they're trying to close down the gap. And look at this, more than one guy in the wind. You never want that in a team time trial. You got to be right on that wheel. These guys are starting to crater.
So Tony Martin and Johnny Mearsman trying to keep it together for Omega Pharma. Team Sky yet to start. Cannondale getting onto the barge as they are now about to get off the barge and get onto the pontoon for their start for the stage 1 of the Vuelta. Team Sky, they were second at the team time trial at the Tour de France this year. 3 seconds off the pace of Orica, but no Chris Froome, no Bradley Wiggins, but they do have Rigoberto Urán.
This is a very different Team Sky squad than we're used to seeing, without either a Wiggins or a Froome or a Porte. And Cofidis, solid ride for them as they're inside the top 5 right now, but I think that place is going to fall before the end of the day.
Team NetApp still has the fastest time at the finish, 30.34, and Cofidis, 31.54, so 1.2 back. Cannondale now on course, and the man to watch, Ivan Basso, who has won the Giro d'Italia twice.
Oh, Basso and his team putting a lot of stock in his legs and his preparation for this race. For me, I would be surprised to see Basso truly fighting it out for the top step of the podium, but you just never know with a wily old veteran. I mean, he can put it together at times. Now let's have a look at his team. Notice how 3 guys are a little bit off the back, so they're more in the wind. They're having to close down this gap. That means they're having to work harder than they need to.
Team Saxo takeoff.
Evgeny Petrov, the Russian, just getting spit out the back. So now he will just get into sort of the diesel mode and make sure that he makes the time cut. Let's see how many guys they have left. It looks like they may have the other 8 up here.
And now this is actually, this is Team Saxo takeoff. So that may have been one of the Consolet riders that was dropped, because now you've got Saxo with Roman Kreuziger. We saw him right before the last break. He has had just a fantastic year. The 27-year-old Czech was 5th at the Tour de France, won the Amstel Gold.
Indeed, but right now, everybody's trying to dethrone these guys. This is what's known as the hot seat. An individual time trial, it's just 1 chair. But when you have a team time trial, you've got to have 9 there, as those guys are the ones everybody is taking the shot at right now.
I guess this is the extent of the climbing today, just a bit of an uphill. But you can see the guys at the back out of the saddle. And it's still the time of Omega Pharma at that early intermediate at 9.2K. That they had the fastest time by 14 seconds over BMC and Oregon Rededge. And now the finish for Omega Pharma. So let's see, can they beat the time of Team NetApp? This could be the fastest time of the day. You've got the 5 riders, so they did not have any problems on the final finishing section. And yes, they take the lead by 19 seconds here, stage 1.
And Tony Martin there leading them through, the 2-time world champion with the jaw wide open as he just flogs himself. Remember, they only had 5 guys for the last 7 kilometers, so that was a brutal day. That's Bjarne Riis, the director and team owner for Saxo Tinkoff. So he's talking into the guys' radios. They can hear what he says. He's giving them instructions about the course, about their pace. He's trying to encourage the different riders and just words of encouragement. And he has to know how to get the most out of his riders.
AG2R coming into the 20K split. Omega Pharma with the fastest time, and AG2R's got a bit of work to do over the last 7K. They're almost a minute down.
Not a good day for that French team, but they're not known as a team time trial squad. So they may be a little disappointed, but it's not that really surprising.
Well, music.
Tough to tell. Kreuziger now just getting on the back there. As Irizar on the left, just walking by Fabian Cancellara. Cancellara, a perfectionist on his bike. I spoke with his team, now I guess about 2.5 hours ago, and asked how good Fabian was going to be in this time trial. And they told me that he's not at his best yet. He's still coming up for the World Time Trial Championship, but he should be pretty solid in this time trial.
Well, Bjarne Riis and Saxo Tinkoff, not too bad at the 20K split, only 9 seconds down. And so Kreuziger, Nicholas Roche, Rafael Machida, Nicky Sorensen all doing a nice job. Now this is Euskaltel, and this is their swan song. So easy to catch their orange jerseys in the peloton, but this is their final year of existence as Lampre approaches the finish line, and they will be nowhere near the fast time laid down by Omega Pharma, just trying to get in under 31 minutes, and they just do at 30.55, so they are 40 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, but you know what this finish tells me? Michele Scarponi is on the front, right there on the right side of your screen, leading him into the finish. It tells me he really is hungry. He wants a result here. He's pushing his team at the end of this time trial, saying, we need every fraction of a second we can get, because I need that for the general classification battle.
Well, first edition, there were only 50 cyclists back in 1935. The first time trial, just before Todd got into the peloton, 1941. Then Roberto Heras with the most career Vuelta wins with 4, well, 504.03, and to 2000. AG2R across the line in the 8th spot, a minute 25 down. So that's a bit of a gap now. That will have to be made up by Carlos Bentancur, the youngster, the Colombian.
Yeah, the Colombian as well as his teammate Puerto de Bernia. So it goes. You live by the sword, you die by the sword when it comes to the team time trial. If you've got a good TTT team, it's awesome. It's like free time, and if you don't, you're totally in trouble.
Belkin off of the Batia, or the pontoon as we've been calling it, at the start here of their team time trial with their green jerseys. They are on course. The Dutch team's got Bouk Mollema, Lawrence Tendam. Both of those riders, Todd, made some noise at this year's Tour de France. Mollema finished off 6th. Tendam lost some time. At the end of it, he was 13th.
Yeah, both really solid riders, but one thing we will notice here, they only have 8 guys. So Theo Bos was taken out of the start by the team this morning due to some testing, and they basically, it was ostensibly sort of tabled as a health issue, and so they start one guy short, which is not good. This is Rigoberto Urán in the middle of your screen with the long locks coming out of the back of his helmet.
Number 198 for Team Sky. Boassenhagen again making his return after that crash at the Tour de France. Astana will be the final team to start today. That Kazakhstan team started in 2007, and they have the reigning Giro d'Italia champion, Vincenzo Nibali, the 28-year-old. Also won the Vuelta back in 2010. He actually won the Vuelta without ever winning a stage that year.
It was a good battle, though, I have to say, as day after day in the mountains he was challenged.
Boassenhagen, number 192 there, struggling to stay on the wheel of Dario Cataldo.
Yeah, a little bit. Wow, this is, whoa, and Boassenhagen looks like he's about to come off. Really uncharacteristic for the Norwegian strongman, and he is, that's it. I have a feeling they're going to lose him here right at the beginning of the race.
Well, he took a lot of time off of the bike after that crash at stage 12 of the Tour, and perhaps just simply does not have it here. He's just not ready for this type of intensity, but
It's just
this
not
is a surprise.
Yeah, it's just not right for Boassenhagen, and that's it. I mean, he just went as deep as he could go to stay on, and he came off. That's a big loss for the team.
Saxo Tinkoff. About 30 and a half, so 30.31. They are 16 seconds back of Omega Pharma, so they lost a bit of time. They were about 9 seconds back at the 20-kilometer checkpoint.
But still a really good ride for them, because they've got some men who are definitely good in the general classification, and that's a good place to be.
Yeah, Nicky Sorensen, their veteran, the 38-year-old, who won a stage in the Vuelta back in 2005. Although we keep talking about a veteran or an old man of the peloton. Wait till we get to Chris Horner. Oh,
yeah. Well, and for Saxo Tinkoff, the man they'll be riding for in the general would, of course, be Roman Kreuziger. So it's a good spot for him. There's not really anybody in the Omega Pharma Quick-Step team that has that general classification potential. So these are the guys that are leading the stage at this point.
Well, Zdeněk Štibar surprised us at the Eneco Tour, but there's quite a bit of difference between a one-week stage race and a three-week Grand Tour. You can see the flags fairly stiff in the wind here at the start. And this is Radio Shack set for their start.
Fabio Cancellara will lead him off the line, closest to our camera.
Well, Chris Horner, the American, 41 years old. He is the oldest here at the Vuelta by more than 2 years over the Italian Matteo Tossato. Horner finished second at the Tour of Utah earlier this month. He's been hampered this year a bit by a knee injury, but as always, not suffering for confidence. He would love to be in the
yesterday I did
at the
220
end of
kilometers.
tomorrow's stage 2.
And
Can
it
he
was
do it, Tom?
5,000 meters to climb.
Oh boy. You know, I don't know, quite honestly. honestly. The thing I love about Chris is that he's the eternal optimist, and the thing that's really difficult to know about Chris is he's an eternal optimist. And so you don't know what he's going to do tomorrow, but he's definitely going for it. This is the team of Cannondale. Ivan Basso in here, a man who's a winner of this, not this Grand Tour, but the Giro d'Italia before, and he would like to try and do something here.
Movistar coming up here with their turn on course. This is the 2013 Vuelta a España presented. 2011 Vuelta winner Juan Jose Cobo is not going to ride this year, just simply not on form. And so that, to me, tells you just how strong this Movistar team is. They've got a former champ and not picked to ride.
Yeah, that's got to be tough on him. But Cobo is a guy who struggles and has struggled over the years with motivation and depression, and that really impacts his fitness level at different times.
Valverde won the Vuelta back in 2009, was second last year. He's a guy that has been close but no cigar so many times at the World Championships, second twice. He was third last year. What does he need to focus on here at the Vuelta to get another Grand Tour win? So many of the climbers keep talking about the climb, that penultimate stage. Many think it won't be decided until then, stage 20.
Well, the Angleroo is wicked. It is an absolutely brutal mountain. But one of the things that the critics of Valverde have spoken about over the years is that he tends to lose time. He gets eliminated in a split in a crosswind or something on days that are not really mountainous. And so he keeps his focus and he keeps his positioning good on the really mountainous days, but on the other days he lets his guard down a little bit at times. What we've seen over the last handful of years is he's getting better at that. But it's 3 weeks of racing. I mean, if you think they average probably 5.5 hours a day for 3 weeks, it's a long time to keep your focus up.
Valverde was 8th at the Tour de France, despite that disaster on stage 13. Had the flat, lost 10 minutes, exactly what you were talking about.
Well, and sometimes it's been mechanical problems that have taken him out. He's been involved in crashes at the Vuelta. Last year, he was in the Jersey. He was taken out in a crosswind crash. You know, sometimes you just can't win. And Valverde is a guy who's got the talent. He just has to put together the right race.
Overall finishing results so far is still Omega Pharma at 30 minutes and 15 seconds. Team Saxo Tinkoff in second with a nice time, 16 seconds off the pace. And it was Team NetApp, the first team to start today, the Pro Continental team, that had the early lead and a nice performance for them as well. Team Sky now approaching the finish line, and this is an excellent performance for Team Sky. Some of their bigger names not here at the Vuelta, but these guys don't care as they are pushing for the line. They will finish just behind Omega Pharma on the last corner. 30 minutes and 21 seconds. They move into the second spot, 6 seconds down.
Really impressive, actually, to see the Sky guys putting in that type of a ride after losing Boassenhagen early in the race. And it's not really a team made up of team time trial specialists by any stretch of the imagination. That bodes really, really well for their GC hopes for Sergio now.
I'm sure the riders are glad they put the glass down on top of that surface.
You think?
You know, we don't want to start the race in a cyclocross type atmosphere as we are now ready for the final team to start. It is Astana. The Kazakhstan team started in 2007. Garmin Sharp now still on course. I believe this is approaching the 20K split. And they're 59 seconds down, 22:56.
Not a great start to this third Grand Tour for that squad, but they still will have plenty of opportunities as time wears on to flex their muscles in different ways.
Maxim Aglinski, the 32-year-old Kazakhstan rider, 9th at the Eneco Tour last weekend. He raced nearly all the spring classics except for Paris-Roubaix. He got Jacob Fulsang as well, the Danish rider, 7th at this year's tour.
Well, Aglinski is the man here who is all the way on the left side of this group, but Nibali is the man who's got all the pressure on his shoulders to try and win this third and final Grand Tour of the season.
He has Italian soil this year. The Vuelta will take a slight jog into France this year. Certainly not going to Italy. But in Italian stage races, he won the Giro. And before that, he won the Giro del Trentino, the Tirreno Adriatico. So it was a fantastic spring for Nibali, and he would like to finish the summer off with another Grand Tour win, which would be the third of his career.
He has definitely tasted success in Spain before. This is Cancellara, number 181. As he is the anchor of any team time trial team he gets into.
Well, he has got to be regarded as one of the best single-day or classic racers of his time. He won Olympic gold in the time trial in 08. And he's won just about everything in the spring. Tour of Flanders, Arlbeca, Paris-Roubaix, 7 stages at the Tour. The list goes on.
And he's really, he's kind of changing his focus this year. Didn't race in the Tour de France. He said he wanted to put a big focus into the World Championships and the end of the season. He's a guy who's always wanted to win not only the time trial at the Worlds, but the road race. He wants to do the double, and he's been close a couple of times, but he's never pulled it off.
Yeah, he's won the time trial World Championships 3 times. Wants to win the double. Last raced here at the Vuelta in 2011. So Radio Shack with a good first intermediate split. We will see how they finish later on. Another Katusha rider off the back.
Saichev is now going off the back to join Luca Paolini, who's already been dropped. Well, the good news for them is they can ride together, but it's not good for the team to be losing guys relatively early in, but it's just the way it goes in the team time trial. They're going so close to their limit, and now they are down to 5.
But that's exactly what Omega Pharma did with about 7K to go, and I want to say it didn't hurt them because they have the fastest time. But perhaps you will take the opposing view and say it may hurt them in the days to come.
Well, the challenge for this race is they start out with the climb. They have a tricky descent, which we haven't actually got to see yet because Spanish television is not bringing us that descent. And there are a couple of other climbs before the finish. And so some guys go uphill better and they blow the other guys out, and then you have fewer guys to ride with to get the draft off of and rest from.
Radio Shack with quite a few riders at that point. Movistar, we did not see their first intermediate split. Gutierrez has been dropped by the rest of his team, but at that first split at 9.2K, they were second.
Sitting in second, and now they have 8 men left, so still almost a full squad here for Alejandro Valverde. Valverde has got to be one of the biggest danger men for the overall classification. And when you think about some of the other potential favorites like Basso losing over a minute today, not good. But right now, Movistar is really messy. They've got guys all over the road.
And now you're down to 6 riders for Movistar. Somebody gave a wave of the hand, kind of to say, I'm done.
And it can happen so fast when you're going literally 33, 34, 35 miles an hour.
Radio Shack at the 20K split. 7 riders there, 2 seconds off the pace. 21:59, so 7K to go. Can the veteran Radio Shack team of Horner and Cancellara keep it together?
Beautiful job by them. 3 seconds ahead of Sky, 2 seconds behind the Omega Pharma Quick-Step team. Now we're looking down on Nibali's team of Astana. Don't expect to see that type of a ride out of Astana. They're going to be more in damage control today, I think, than trying to go for the stage win.
Boy, I think you've got to be impressed too with NetApp's performance right now. They're in the 4th spot, the Pro Continental team. Coming to a Grand Tour with something to prove, and they've done a nice job of that. Wearing number 1, Valverde, and the Movistar team.
Remember, this is the team that won the opening team time trial last year, that finished on a climb with cobblestones. A very crazy finale it was, but Euskaltel here, this is one of those squads that just tries to limit its losses in the team time trial.
Euskaltel crosses the finish line, currently in the 9th position, 58 seconds off the pace laid down by Omega Pharma. So Omega Pharma, they are still on the hot seat. This is the swan song for the team in orange.
And Sammy Sanchez.
this is Katusha ahead of them on the course. They started third to last.
So Rodriguez sitting out of the saddle there, last spot. And as I was mentioning earlier, he's done a ton of work with one of his main directors, Valerio Piva, on the time trial discipline. The team has worked a lot on the team time trial discipline as well, and occasionally they've surprised in the team time trial discipline over the last couple of seasons.
The last split, they were 25 seconds back, so you've got about 3 minutes to go before the finish here for Katusha.
And the individual time trial at this year's Vuelta has a lot of climbing. It's got almost a 2,000-foot climb at the end of stage 11. So that's a good time trial for an individual time trial for Rodriguez. So this is one of those races where if you were ever going to win a Grand Tour, 7 summit finishes plus an uphill time trial, it pretty much suits the Spaniard.
Well, and Rodriguez has won 7 stages of the Vuelta throughout his career. He is one of those riders that in an interview earlier this week said that he thinks it will be wide open until the Anglerud stage 20. So even if he does lose some time today, which it looks like he will, he's probably not going to be too concerned.
There's so much climbing in this race, and nobody wants to come in losing time here, but you can only get the best you can get out of your team. And it looks like they're down to maybe 6 guys, or is it actually 5? It's 5 guys.
Yeah, the team down to 5 and almost down to 4.
Yeah, you can see just how tricky it is.
And well, he's thrown his left arm out there, but you've got no one else at this point to help you. You have got to just kick it into another gear, and he's lost contact.
Yeah, he's struggling right now to close this down. It looks like Rodriguez will close the gap in front of him. No, now Rodriguez opens the gap. This is the disaster that happened so quickly in a team time trial, but Rodriguez still had the power to close it down. But Moreno still struggling. They may have to ease up for him.
Well, Moreno, 5th here last year. He won a stage back in 2011. And he is hurting.
They have to wait. It's the time of the 5th guy. These guys can finish 3 minutes in front of him. They will get his time. They have to wait for him.
And at this point, who is telling them this? Do they have to just simply look around, or can their director see what is going on?
Their director's right there in the car. They're in there. They're in the ear. They're telling them what's going on.
Well, you can see Rodriguez took a look back. Some other teammates are looking back. And this is trouble for Katusha.
And Rodriguez is sitting up.
Rodriguez, yeah.
And Konashev, the director, he's a real hard-line, old-school, former Russian racer, but he has not whipped his team into shape right now and said, guys, you gotta wait.
So from the brilliant performance of Radio Shack to the disaster here in the final few K for Katusha.
Okay, well, they've come back together now. Now they need to get back on the throttle.
Back down the course. This is Astana at the 20K mark, 21:49. And is that correct? They have the fastest split time at the 20K. They do by 8 seconds.
Wow.
How about that?
Totally impressive to me. It's not the ride I expected out of that team. I really thought they were going to be just having a solid ride in the team time trial. It's not over yet, but that is a brilliant performance.
Okay, now that Katusha is all together, Todd, can you put it into words? How much time do you think that struggle there cost them?
A handful of seconds, probably fewer than 10, but every second does count, and it really frustrates the guys at the same time.
200 meters. Clock is ticking. 30 minutes and 9 seconds. Radio Shack with that time just took the overall lead away from Omega Pharma. Katusha will not challenge it, and they are 49 seconds down. So Joaquin Rodriguez, looking for his first Grand Tour win ever, will have to race starting stage 2 in a deficit.
And I tell you, there are a lot of guys that are going to be happy about that tomorrow. Guys like Chris Horner who want to try and ride into the jersey, and he'll have a nice cushion over Rodriguez.
So we're down to our final 2 teams on course. This is Movistar, started 4 minutes ahead of Astana. And Astana, astonishing perhaps that they have the fastest split at the 20K intermediate. So Movistar now 27.5 minutes. They've got 6 riders, Todd, down to 5 yet.
guys setting up for the left-hand turn. This is where Moreno was trying to get back on the back end of the Katusha train. And once again, Movistar opening up a little bit of gap through the corners. It's just hard when they're going so incredibly fast to maintain that very tight line through the corners. And so little gaps open up, and then guys have to close him down, and it means he's not getting the rest he needs.
Well, the difference with this part of the course, Todd, versus the earlier portions, you've got plenty of wide roads and plenty of room to work with.
Indeed, it was Valverde on the front who was just drilling it. Now he's come to the back. So he wants every single second he can get as well.
Look at the body language, too. Put his shoulders into it. This is a tough start to the Vuelta. You've got to put everything into this, even though this is only on the bike for 30 minutes. This is a big effort. They're going to feel this tomorrow.
Well, just in the last minute, we came in, Movistar was going downhill. They made a left turn, they started going uphill. They went over the top of that hill, they started going downhill again, they turned, now they're going uphill again. And now they're losing Erviti at this point, and he is gone. They will not see him again. So they're down to 5, but it's all these changes in terrain which make it really hard on the pacing, because you don't just get into a steady rhythm. Guy on the front punches it, guy on the back may go off the back as they come out of a corner.
Final kilometer for Movistar. Valverde sending in the second position. Right behind Moreno. Time to beat 30 minutes and 9 seconds. And they are now approaching some of the Katusha riders, and that might have slowed them down a bit as the moto kind of sitting on the horn, telling them to get out of the way.
Yeah, you could definitely hear the urgency there on the horn as some guys off the back and they're just riding to finish. Other guys here, they're riding for the time for the general classification.
Boy, what a great scene here in San Francisco, right? On the Atlantic coast, a beautiful town that is swelled in numbers due to this race, of course, and the vacation season. And they're in for a treat here tonight. Radio Shack, and their lead is safe. Movistar trying to limit the damage. They're now in the 4th spot, and how far will they drop? Will they finish 4th, 19 seconds down on Radio Shack? So they did suffer a bit during those last few K.
Very respectable ride for them, but not the winning performance they had last year. And I think that they will be maybe mildly disappointed with this ride, but, you know, it's not a bad way to start the race overall.
One team left on course. It is Astana. They had the fastest split time by 2 seconds, 20 kilometers in. Sitting in the 2nd spot is Omega Pharma. 6 seconds behind Radio Shack. So Radio Shack and the veteran Chris Horner hoping to wear red either tomorrow or the next day. And at 41 years, Todd, his chances to race in a Grand Tour, this might be it.
Well, the American never ceases to amaze and surprise me. And one of the things I really love about a guy like Chris Horner is he is a competitor through and through. I mean, he came back to Utah just a couple of weeks ago. He hadn't done a race in, I don't know, since March. So you do the math, 5 months. And he said, oh yeah, I'm here to win. And he almost did. I mean, he was close enough. So when he tells me that he wants to ride into the red jersey as the overall leader tomorrow, I have to believe the man. The question is, can he do it? And this team here, the Astana team, looks like 7 guys left. They had the best time at the 20K mark, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, and they still have 7 guys here. So this could be the new best time.
Fulsang and Grivko and Aglinski and Nibali. So some big names on the Astana team. Seeing if they can start the Vuelta with a win in the team trial, or will it be Radio Shack, excuse me, Cancellara there.
So right now, Chris Horner, when we're thinking of general classification men of the Radio Shack team, about 19 seconds ahead of Valverde, and about 4 49 seconds roughly ahead of Rodriguez. So that GC battle tomorrow is going to be interesting, there's no doubt.
There's Chris Horner coming over to congratulate his teammates. Towels around the necks. It's been a satisfying day here. The big smile on Chris Horner's face. You know, when you get to that age, and we've all been there before, right? You seem to really savor it. You seem to savor and enjoy it a little bit more.
Hey, speak for yourself there, big boy. Chris, you know what? Chris always has a smile on his face. That's he's a positive guy.
Finishing stretch for the day for Astana. 30 minutes and 9 seconds for Radio Shack, and approaching 29.5 for Astana. Vincenzo Nibali, the reigning Giro champion, looking to win the Vuelta for the second time in his career. Won it in 2010. And this would be a nice start if he could get some time on his competitors today.
Yeah, a little bit of strength in numbers with these guys with still 6 riders left.
So it's a mistake of waiting for that.
And it is Nibali on the front. Now he's into the second spot.
So the 5th rider across the line, and yes, Astana moves into the top spot. They win the team time trial, stage number 1 of the Vuelta by 10 seconds. And so Radio Shack is dropped into the 2nd position, and Astana has brought the goods to the Vuelta. A great performance here on the opening day.
Fantastic ride for the Astana guys taking the stage. They will have the first man in the red jersey, and now they have to defend it on the first day, which finishes with a mountain finish tomorrow.
We will take a pause and be back right after this to wrap up day 1. And welcome back. Stage number 1 of the Vuelta is in the books, and Team Astana, well, Todd, they saved the best for last. They win the team time trial, and it's a good start to the Vuelta for Vincenzo Nibali and Jakob Fuglsang and the rest of the Astana team.
Yeah, great job by those guys. Now, they did have the benefit of knowing all the other intermediate time checks. It looked like Nibali was going to try and go through that final finish line first, but in the end, it didn't come to pass, so he will not be the man in the red leader's jersey, as it's a team effort that gets them the win today.
Results from stage number 1, Astana 29.59.
Matthew,
It is Radio Shack, 2nd place, 10 seconds back. Omega Pharma is 16 seconds down. Sky with a good performance, and then Movistar is 29 seconds down.
Which would have then allowed me to stop the race
Pontevedra
and
finishes
change
up,
the back to
and
the time
Bayona
trial
had that nasty finish on the uphill climb. They will go along the coast, so we could have winds playing a factor again today.
Indeed, early in the race with some coastal winds and the Category 3 climb, but then back to the coast and then away from the coast to the Category 1 climb, as you mentioned, to Bayona. And that climb goes up just about 2,000 feet in just under 7 miles. And wait for it, bam, there it is. Now, it's not the toughest summit finish of this year's race, but it's only the 2nd day, and the guys are still trying to find their legs.
And we are now looking at live pictures of stage number 2. This is the peloton, Astana in the light blue jerseys up front, trying to protect Nibali and the red leader's jersey. Lamprey in the pink right there with them. We do have a breakaway group of 3 riders who got away early. You are looking at them right now. Francisco Armendia, the 26-year-old. The Lotto rider is Gregory Henderson, and the Garmin rider is Alex Rasmussen, the Danish rider, 29 years old. He's a good time trialist. And Henderson, actually, he won a stage here of the Vuelta back in 2009. And with inside of 100 kilometers to go, they had their lead stretched out to over 12 minutes.
A huge advantage for those guys. And, you know, it's always great to see Henderson in a move because he's a guy who's really the lead-out man for Andre Greipel. Greipel not in this race, so Henderson has been given the free hand to try and win some stages. Now, I would expect him to try and win them from a field sprint, not from a breakaway like this, but it's always good to see the Kiwi out front.
What's at stake in today's stage number 2? You see the jersey, the overall leader in red, points in green, and then the mountain leader, it's white with blue polka dots.
Indeed, and they'll be testing those legs in the mountains at the finish today. And we'll also see if Brajkovic holds onto that red leader's jersey, or if it possibly swaps shoulders to his teammate and team leader Vincenzo Nibali, they're tied on time coming into the day. Or if a guy like Horner, who comes in 10 seconds down, or other guys manage to pick up that little bit of time they need. Remember, a 10-second time bonus on the finish, 10, 6, and 4 for the top 3 places.
That breakaway of 3, not too much of a worry right now for the peloton, because you do have, the peloton has not been broken up. They can work together, need be, and you do have that uphill finish. None of these 3 riders are considered a GC contender. Caja that is Armendia in the green and white, and then the Lotto rider in the middle, and then it is Rasmussen in Jersey.
Indeed, and these guys, you know, these are tough ways to make your living. In a 3-man break, when you got a giant peloton behind you, 65K to go for them, and you can see just how much Rasmussen is grinding away on the front, taking a big long pull. He's got Henderson sitting on his wheel, saving about 1/3 the energy that Rasmussen is putting out by being in the draft. So think about how important that is. And Henderson goes by and they're having a little word. If you're in the peloton and there are 195 guys in the peloton, a lot of guys are in the draft, very few are in the wind. These guys have to share that workload all day long.
Armendia and Rasmussen getting a bike team. Well, he may have been just checking out his map, but they just went through the feed zone not too long ago, right before we came on here.
Now he's eating his map.
Yeah. Well, it looked like it, didn't it? Where he had some food wrapped up in the map.
Yeah, they often do a little piece of like aluminum foil and their soigneurs, which are the people that give them massages every day, that stand in the feed zones and hand up the musette bags with their food, prepare their food and their drinks. Those soigneurs in the evening and the morning before the race, they actually, some of them make these little sandwiches. All teams have different systems and riders like different things, but they come up with what works for their team.
As you can tell, it's a beautiful day of racing in Spain. The 3 riders have a nice lead, but there is over 63 kilometers for the peloton and our main leaders to reel it in. Gregory Henderson for Lotto, stage winner of the Vuelta 4 years ago, has also won a number of stages, Paris-Nice, the Eneco Tour, Volta a Catalunya.
Now, Henderson's a very, very able sprinter. Interestingly, at the intermediate sprint, the first one that they went through, Rasmussen took the top honors there, and Henderson took second place. So it makes me think that maybe Henderson was not necessarily going full out for that sprint, but honestly, Rasmussen's pretty darn fast too. And so sometimes you just never know sort of how they play each other a little bit. And there's a lot of tactics going on in the bike race at all times.
Number of Lampre riders up in the front. Scarponi, their main GC threat for this year's Vuelta, 56 seconds down coming into today's stage number 2.
Yeah, another of the men who suffered from that team time trial. And unfortunately for him, he's one of the GC guys who can be a real contender in a race like this with a lot of uphill finishes. So his team doing a lot of work on the front right now. It just tells me that we're going to see some fireworks on the final climb. If Scarponi's team is on the front and, you know, he's down quite a bit, Katusha lost 59 seconds with Rodriguez. He's very explosive. We're going to see some guys swinging in the final 7 miles.
Beautiful aerial footage of this portion of Spain.
As
the riders will be on the coast for a fairly sizable portion of today's stage number 2 before they head inland to the finish. And Bayona, known as the first community in Europe to receive news back in 1493 that Christopher Columbus had discovered the New World. How about that?
Well, that's the old news right there. Certainly love to show it off.
Well, with all the damage done in yesterday's team time trial, you get the feeling, Gogo, that you will have some teams that are really going to be not only licking their chops for the finish, but licking their wounds as well. How often do you coming to a Grand Tour, and if you are one of the favorites, and you have a minute to crash, lose over a minute. Now, we should point out, we did not find this out until after yesterday's coverage, that Garmin, Sharp, did have a crash in yesterday's team time trial. And so their main GC contender, Dan Martin, a long shot for the podium. The Irishman has had a fantastic year so far, but he comes into today with a deficit of 141.
Yeah, it's really a tough day for the American Garmin Sharp squad yesterday. And like you said, we didn't know it because they didn't have a TV camera with them. There are only a few motorcycles out there with cameras, and they pick who they're going to follow, and they missed it. But I spoke with Bingen Fernandez, the director, earlier today, and I asked him what happened. He said they were flying on the initial descent. He was telling the guys through their race radios, guys, just hold back a little bit. We don't want to have any crashes on this descent. It's tricky, it's narrow, and all of a sudden guys started flying off the road. Michael Kretter is in the race today, covered with road rash on his hips and elbows. He woke up, he said he felt better, but unfortunately Coldo Fernandez broke a rib. They brought him to the start this morning. He was actually going to try and start, but he was dizzy, and Bingen said he was pale. So they said, look, dude, we're not going to let you race.
So we have two racers that have already dropped out of the Vuelta. Teo Boss, the sprinter for Belkin, did not even start this year's Vuelta on stage number 1. So we will step away for a pause and return to stage 2 coverage of the Vuelta.
Okay, the Vuelta behind me is still going to catch up.
We will not see him figuring into some breakaways.
Now we are approaching the intermediate sprint for our front three. Not much of a breeze on the day, just perhaps a little bit, but it looks like we've got great racing conditions, nor do we see what seems to be too much of, I guess, a desperation at this point for these intermediate streets. I mean, is it that a big a deal for these three riders to get these points?
Well, what's happening is Armandia is leading, so he has no interest in him. Henderson, sitting on the back, is trying to mark Rasmussen, so he will work on his timing. He basically wants to get to the point where hopefully Rasmussen goes early, he can ride the wheel for a bit and then come out of the draft, or if Rasmussen waits, then Hendy will jump when he thinks he can accelerate all the way to the line. That's sort of the timing issue with sprinting.
And so Armandia now getting in the back of the front three. He has done his pull. Remember that there are not that many points available for these intermediate sprints. So unless some of these three riders are near the finish, they will in all likelihood not be wearing the green points leaders jersey tomorrow. 25 points for the stage winner.
Quite often in a race such as the Vuelta, with all these uphill finishes, you would actually potentially see one of the general classification men in that points jersey at the end of the race. A guy like Joaquin Rodriguez, who contests so many of those finishes, he racks up tons of points on the summit finishes.
Bit of an uphill approach to the intermediate sprint.
Well, everybody's coming out, that's for sure. Great crowd. As they still make their way toward that banner, and there it is. All right, let's see what the games are now.
Rasmussen in blue in the Garmin jersey, Henderson in between, and then it's Armandia in the green for Caja Rural.
Well, let's see if this is contested. We know that Rasmussen and Henderson went through in that order in the first one, but that was actually before the television cameras came up for the day. And Henderson's going to jump him here, so it's on, and there's no doubt the Kiwi wants it, and he's not going to be beaten.
Henderson, the Lotto rider, winner of a stage here at the Vuelta, times it perfectly, and Rasmussen just simply had no chance of matching that burst of energy from Henderson, the 36-year-old veteran from New Zealand who picks up some more sprint points. And now more importantly, what is the gap between our front three breakaway riders and the peloton with all of our GC leaders? We will find out when we come back. Your zero winner are coming in with a deficit on day number 2. You can see the brown and blue and white checkered jerseys of AG2R and their young rider Carlos Bentancur, the Colombian, the 23-year-old. He lost nearly 2 minutes yesterday.
Yeah, Roman Kreuziger, number 201, the leader of that Saxo Tinkoff squad. He didn't come